was the pharaoh during the time of Moses? This question has fascinated scholars, theologians, and historians for centuries. The story of Moses and the Exodus is one of the most significant narratives in both the Bible and the Quran, but the identity of the pharaoh remains a subject of debate. In this video, we will examine the evidence from the Bible, the Quran, and historical records to shed light on this mysterious figure. The story of Moses and the pharaoh is detailed in the book of Exodus in the Bible. According to the biblical narrative, Moses was born at a time when the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt. The pharaoh, fearing the growing population of the Israelites, ordered the killing of all newborn Hebrew boys. However, Moses was saved by his mother, placed in a basket, and found by Pharaoh's daughter, who raised him as her own. As Moses grew, he became aware of his Hebrew origins, and eventually, after encountering God in the form of a burning bush, he was commanded to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. The Bible describes the Pharaoh as a stubborn ruler who repeatedly refused to let the Israelites go, even after a series of devastating plagues, including the death of the firstborn sons in Egypt. The Exodus narrative culminates in the parting of the Red Sea, allowing the Israelites to escape while the pursuing Egyptian forces, led by the Pharaoh, are drowned. But who was this Pharaoh? The Bible does not name him, leading to centuries of speculation. Various theories have been proposed by scholars, suggesting that the pharaoh could have been one of several rulers from Egypt's New Kingdom period, which spanned the 16th to the 11th centuries BCE. The Quran also tells the story of Moses, or Musa, and the pharaoh, referred to as Fir'aun in Arabic. The story is spread across various chapters, or surahs, including Al-Qasas, the stories, Al-Araf, the heights, and Taha. Similar to the Bible, the Quran describes the pharaoh as a tyrannical ruler who oppressed the Israelites and refused to heed the message of God delivered by Moses. The Quran highlights several key events, such as the confrontation between Moses and the pharaoh's magicians, the series of plagues, and the eventual escape of the Israelites. One of the notable aspects of the Quranic account is its emphasis on the arrogance and ultimate downfall of the pharaoh, who, despite witnessing the signs of God, rejected faith and met his end in the waters of the Red Sea. Unlike the Bible, the Quran also does not name the pharaoh explicitly, leaving his identity open to interpretation. However, the Quran makes it clear that the pharaoh met his death by drowning. In Surah Yunus 10:90-92, it is stated that the pharaoh, realizing the futility of his resistance, professed belief in the God of Moses, but his repentance came too late, and he was swallowed by the sea. The Quran adds that his body would be preserved as a sign for future generations. This Quranic detail about the pharaoh's body being preserved has led some scholars to draw connections with the mummy of Ramses II, whose body is one of the best preserved mummies discovered in Egypt. Identifying the pharaoh of Moses from a historical perspective involves examining the timeline and events described in both religious texts and comparing them with Egyptian history. Scholars have debated this topic extensively, and several theories have emerged. One of the most prominent theories identifies the pharaoh of the Exodus with Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great. Ramses II ruled Egypt during the 13th century BCE and is known for his extensive building projects and military campaigns. His reign is one of the longest in Egyptian history, lasting 66 years. The city of Pi-Ramesses, mentioned in the Bible as one of the cities built by the Israelites, is often cited as evidence supporting this theory. Additionally, the Quran's emphasis on the pharaoh's drowning and the preservation of his body has led to further connections with Ramses II, whose well-preserved mummy is currently housed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. The French scholar Maurice Bucaille, in his work The Bible, the Quran and Science, suggested that Ramses II could indeed be the pharaoh of the Exodus. Bucaille examined the mummy of Ramses II and pointed out that it shows signs of having suffered a violent death, possibly consistent with drowning, and that the body had been remarkably well preserved, aligning with the Quranic verse stating that the pharaoh's body would be preserved as a sign for future generations. However, there are still debates around this identification. Some scholars point out that Ramses II's long and prosperous reign might not align perfectly with the timeline of the plagues and the Exodus described in religious texts. Another theory suggests that the pharaoh of the Exodus could have been Merneptah, the son of Ramses II. Merneptah's reign saw significant turmoil, including invasions by the Sea Peoples and a major famine. The famous Merneptah stele, which mentions the Israelites, is often referenced in discussions about this theory. However, like Ramses II, there is no conclusive evidence that Merneptah was the pharaoh of Moses. Some scholars propose an earlier pharaoh, such as Thutmose III or Amenhotep II, both of whom ruled during the 15th century BCE. Thutmose III is known for his military prowess and expansive empire, while Amenhotep II is noted for his athletic abilities and brutal suppression of rebellions. These rulers lived during a period that could align with the traditional timeline of the Exodus, but again, definitive proof is lacking. Archaeology plays a crucial role in understanding the historical context of the biblical and Quranic narratives. However, the lack of direct archaeological evidence for the Exodus remains a significant challenge. Despite extensive excavations in Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula, no definitive evidence has been found to confirm the events as described in religious texts. Some archaeologists argue that the lack of evidence could be due to the nature of the events themselves. Nomadic people, like the Israelites, would have left little trace in the archaeological record. Additionally, the harsh desert environment of the Sinai would have further eroded any evidence over time. There are, however, some findings that have sparked interest. For instance, the discovery of ancient settlements in the eastern Nile Delta, where the Israelites were said to have lived, provides some support for the biblical narrative. The city of Avaris, identified with the Hyksos capital, has been suggested as a possible location for the Israelite settlement. Furthermore, some scholars point to inscriptions and records from the reigns of various pharaohs that mention Semitic peoples in Egypt, which could include the Israelites. The question of the identity of the Pharaoh of Moses is not only a historical issue, but also a matter of religious interpretation. In Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the story of Moses and the Exodus holds profound spiritual significance. The Pharaoh is often seen as a symbol of tyranny and oppression, while Moses represents faith and liberation. Different religious traditions have offered various interpretations of the story. In Judaism, the Exodus is commemorated during Passover, a festival that marks the liberation of the Israelites from slavery. In Christianity, the story of Moses is seen as a precursor to the salvation offered by Jesus Christ. In Islam, the story of Moses is a reminder of God's power and justice, as well as a warning against arrogance and disbelief. Scholarly debates continue to this day, with historians and theologians examining new evidence and reinterpreting old texts. Some scholars argue that the story of the Exodus may have been influenced by earlier myths and legends, while others maintain that it reflects a historical event, albeit one that has been embellished over time. In conclusion, the identity of the pharaoh during the time of Moses remains one of history's great mysteries. Despite extensive research and numerous theories, no definitive answer has been found. The pharaoh is unnamed in both the Bible and the Quran, leaving his identity open to interpretation and speculation. However, the Quran's emphasis on the pharaoh's death by drowning and the preservation of his body has led many to connect this with the mummy of Ramses II. The work of scholars like Maurice Bucaille has further strengthened this theory, although it is still subject to debate. What we do know is that the story of Moses and the Exodus continues to resonate across cultures and religions, offering lessons in faith, perseverance, and the struggle for freedom. Whether the pharaoh was Ramses II, Merneptah, or another ruler, the importance of the story lies not in the name of the pharaoh, but in the enduring message. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, please subscribe to our channel for more in-depth explorations of history, religion, and culture. Remember, history is full of mysteries, and the search for truth is an ongoing journey.